guys, so today I'm here for 7 on Sunday. Oh my god, have I shown you guys this shirt yet? It's literally my new favorite thing because I love Star Wars, and also this is the Abbey Road album cover that the Beatles did, and I'm named after Abbey Road, so it just seemed kind of iconic. And back in the day I had a legit Abbey Road t-shirt that I don't know what happened. I think my mum must have just put it in a bag for Vinnie's or something, or I chose to get rid of it because I didn't fit into it anymore, because I don't own any clothes that I don't fit into. So none of my baby clothes, none of my teenage clothes, like I don't have anything. So I'm very sad when there's some things that I let go of, but at least if there's like a photo of them. So this is why it's good to take lots of photos, because when you get rid of your clothes you can always remember them. But I was like kind of in that age where you kind of took photos but you didn't really, and it was always with the camera and not on a phone, and just it's a thing. But I am getting distracted in the first minute of this video, but I just wanted to say this is my new favorite thing. But today is 7 on Sunday, and today we are talking about longer series on our TBR. So we did standalones, we did duologies, we did trilogies, and now it is longer series, and this can be anything that's got more than 4 books in it. So I am excited. I thought I wouldn't have enough series for this list, but I actually do. But a lot of them I've read the first book, but I haven't read any more. There isn't really a massive series on my shelf that I haven't at least read the first book of, and it's very daunting to think that there could be 4 more that I have to read. So a lot of them I haven't continued on, but I have 7 and I'm excited. I'm also only going to hold up the first book because that is just too much, but let's get into the video. Okay, the only one that I haven't read the first book for is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, but I only own 4 of the books, but there's a 5th one, but there's also a prequel series. So this is like a big series, but there is kind of like multiple series happening at the same time. So this doesn't feel as daunting, but this book is very heavy and there is quite a lot of pages. Like I would say that it is daunting, but also the amount of hype for this series, because I know some people that were really excited to read this book and they didn't really enjoy it, but others that do really enjoy it, and I'm kind of scared about how I'm going to feel about it, because I would hate to be in the minority that doesn't like this series. But I will read it. Even my friend at work was like, do you want to borrow my copies? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I do own them, I just haven't gotten to it yet, because she's always asking me if I've read them, and I really do want to read them. I think it's going to be good, and there are so many of these series in the past 5 years that have come out that I have just not kept up with. I used to be the reader that was so into all the fandoms, and I was really doing well with all my reading, and like I have read over 600 books in my lifetime, but I've just not been in any of the main series that have been out at the moment, and I'm sad that so many people can like talk about these things and I have no idea what's going on. Like it's an achievement to me every time I read a current book that's actually in the know, and I feel really good about it. But I know a lot of people are going to tell me I do need to read this, and I do know, but I just don't know when I'm going to decide to actually pick it up. I mention Fallen Kingdoms every chance I can, and this is by Morgan Rhodes. I have only read the first one, and it's been so long that I definitely need to give this a reread. But now that I didn't read it for my Magical Readathon TBR, I don't know if I'm actually going to get to this, because if I'm going to follow the Readathon's format, I need to read this book and then I can read the second book in His Dark Materials. And I really want to read the second book because I want to be able to watch the show, but I'm holding myself off from watching the show until I've read the books, because I don't think I'm going to enjoy it as much if I'm like thinking about the show and trying to like read the books. Like it just will never happen. But I read that book 2 months ago and I have not caught up, because I'm like, do I need to read this book first? I'm just going on so many tangents in this video and it's probably not going to stop, but I just want to get back into this to remember everything, because I do have a vague recollection, and one of the saddest things happens in this book and it still scars me, because the time when I first read this book, I hadn't read any books that were this sad. So I am definitely wanting to read this book, but I'm also sad that I've missed out on the way that the fandom really loved books 1 to 4, because I think books 5 and 6 not many people like. So that's something that I'm also going to have to deal with, and I'm going to be coming in 8 years later like, oh my god, this is so annoying. So anyone who's read the books, when I finally film videos about this and I talk about this book, please just be like, yeah, I know. because it will be really helpful. Next I have The School for Good and Evil by Saman Jahani. So I only literally just finished this book yesterday, and then I watched the movie straight after, and it was a really weird experience because this always happens when you've just read a book and it's really fresh in your mind, is they do change a lot of things in the movie, but I'm not really mad about it because there's like some things that they changed about the history of the world that was a bit annoying, but there's a lot of storylines that they had to kind of dumb down so that it would fit into the premise of the movie, which is understandable because this book does have a lot going on in it. But I do think that they had the really core of the story, and the girls and the characters and the schools was done really well, and it was just visually stunning. And I do really hope that they do get a second movie because this is a Netflix movie. Netflix cancels everything they ever make, so I'm not really hoping too much. Like literally I was so happy that Heartstopper got renewed with the way that Netflix just ruins everything, but like I just know that I would really appreciate another movie. But there is 6 books in this series. I used to think it was only a trilogy, but I have been buying the books as they come out every year, and then I literally bought the 6th book last week, and I was thinking that I wasn't going to read the rest of this series. Like I thought I would keep these books because they're a good middle grade, and if I ever have kids I feel like they would appreciate this series, so there would be no point getting rid of it, but more like put it in a box for later. But then I saw the 6th book in store that wasn't too expensive, so I'm like, oh, I might as well buy it, might as well have it so that I can actually like continue on. But there is no priority for me finishing this at the moment, so if I hear news about a second movie I'd probably be more inclined to try and keep going on with the series. But at this point it's like, it's a series on my TBR that's probably going to stay there for a while. Next I have Akane by Lynette Noni. So I read this first one and I kind of hated it, and I own the rest of the books. They're like down here somewhere, and I've gotten like the last one in a book box. I got this other one that I bought at a bookstore, and I just keep buying all the books until I had them all, and it's like I don't know what to do because I know that this is meant to be like a really good series and so many people appreciate it and love it so much, but I just didn't like the first book, and I always ask that it gets better and people say that it does, but I just don't know if I can put myself through it at the moment. Like I know I need to read it, and I know that I hopefully will eventually like it, but just it's really disheartening when you don't like the book in the first place and then you want to try and read more. And at the moment, every time I read something I don't really want to read, it takes me a very long time, because like The School for Good and Evil, I only read it so that I could watch the movie, but I couldn't really be asked actually reading the book, so it took me 3 weeks to finish it. This is why adult contemporaries help me read quicker, because I really want to read the romances and have a light story, and there's a few things that I do want to read, and I am only 12 books away from my Goodreads goal, and I'm not going to get to it. Like I'm not stressing about it really, because as I said, I'm not going to do it. 12 books is 6 books a month. I read 3 last month. It's not looking likely that I'll be able to do it, but like if I picked up the second book in this, I would definitely not do it. I will hopefully eventually get to it. Like I don't have plans on getting rid of them because I do really want to try and do it, and I think my copy of the book is signed. Like yes, like I got a book box version of it, so like I can't get rid of them if I've got a special edition. Next I'm going to mention The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken, and I know that this is a trilogy, but there is also the prequel set of short stories, but then there is the spin-off about a different character whose name I already forgot. But the time that I read this book was back when the Biblio Squad was still in full force, and they did a reread of this back in like 2017, and I was like, oh, this is exciting, I'll read this for the first time. And the movie had like just come out, and I really enjoyed the movie. I know a lot of people didn't, but I thought it was just really fun, and I know there's things that they change, but every book to movie adaptation gets changed in some way or another, and then they never continued on, which I'm a bit sad because then I never read the rest of the books. But I really do want to read it because there is things that happen at the end of this book that I still want answers to, that I know I will get in the rest of this series, but I just haven't been able to do it. And I bought them all, and they're beautiful hardcover editions, and I just haven't continued on. And I'm really mad at myself when I have these series that I just start and I just never go back to them. And I know I will eventually get to it. Like I'll have a spur moment of thinking I can do it, and I will do it, like I did with Shatter Me, but that was kind of an anomaly, so I have no faith in myself. Next I have Talon by Julia Kagawa. So this is a 5-book series. I've read the first book and it was okay. It was quite average in my opinion, but it's about dragons and you don't really get too many books about dragons, and I think the series is going to go really well because she's a dragon, he's a dragon hunter, her brother's a dragon. Obviously they're going to fall in love, and there's going to be a rebellion with the dragons and the hunters. Like there is good story here, but it also feels like it's going to be generic story, and I know that this is a series that probably not a lot of people ever really finish. finished because like I always find this, like the first book's really popular, but then Goodreads slowly dwindles to like less than 10,000 ratings for the last book in a series, unless it's a really popular story that everyone's gonna read. And this is another one where I just bought the books as they came out because I just was doing that a lot of the time. I just kept buying things to fill out my shelves, which is one of the things that we say not to do as a booktuber, yet here I am. So I actually am at the point that I've run out of space again, and I only have had this space for a year and it happened. And I've bought a lot of books this year, more than I expected, that my TBR has gotten out of control again. It's well over 400 books again, but because I have an obsession with adult contemporary, I just buy so many of them that's where a lot of the bulk's coming from. But if I can read them quickly, that would be good, but I just keep buying too many. Like I have more than 70 adult contemporary physical books now, and it's my new absolute favorite thing. Like I could honestly have just like a whole bookshelf for them soon enough because they've become so popular and such a big trend, and I'm so happy about it. And lastly, I'm going to mention the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. So I have read the first 3, I've reread the first 2, but every time I do a reread, another whole year goes past where I haven't finished the series. And I did buddy read the second book with Kat at Brews and Reviews, so I feel like we're probably due to do the reread of the third book together so that we can like push ourselves to get through it. But this is definitely a series that I need to do a shadow me to and just sit down and read it. I really enjoyed the process of rereading the first one because the first time that I read Cinder, I did not like it. It was so obvious what was going to happen. It was so generic and boring. But then as you get to the rest of the series and the characters of Cinder and Kai become less generic, I really enjoyed them. So coming back to this, knowing what I knew then to read it again, I really enjoyed it a lot more the second time around. And Scarlet is still my favorite book, and I really love Scarlet and Wolf. They are the best couple. Even though I haven't read Winter yet, I can still tell you that I think they're the best couple. And I love the way that the world expands so much, but I just need to read the series. I need the motivation and someone to make me do it. So if you want to do a buddy read, I am pretty down to do it whenever. Like I have a couple of things I want to read, but yeah. But yes, I need to be made to read these, and I can say that they're a finished series. But I have already finished one iconic series this year, so if I get to 2, I don't know. But this will probably be start of next year's priority to try and finish, because I really just want to get through some contemporaries at the moment because I just want to read some light stuff. So there is so many books here that literally, like with 4 more books and there's 7 books here, it's like 50 books worth just from these 7 series. And that could literally be like nearly 3 of these shelves, man, because some series have so many freaking books. Like the House of Night series is still one of my biggest series with the 12 and then the novellas, but then there's been that new series and I'm like, oh my god, like I don't think I'm ever going to pick them up. I'd only do it because there is just information that I would like to know, but really I don't care. The books just went downhill and I read them at a time when I didn't really care about how toxic things were. I care a lot more now, but yes, there is a lot of series here that I don't know when they're gonna get finished, but like hopefully in my lifetime it will happen. But anyway guys, that is all for today's 7 on Sunday, and this is the last of the books on our TBR segment that's been really fun this last like month and a bit, because obviously it was last month and a part of this month. But I really enjoyed that Grace picked this topic for us, and now most of the topics for the rest of the year, because they're all on the Goodreads page if you want to go to the link down below and you can check out what themes are going to be coming up, are all mainly wrapping up themes. So it's kind of nice to have these like segments each week to like talk about some things that I might have made into a separate video, but a 7 on Sunday makes it easier for me. And I will have so many videos probably coming up in the new year and the end of this year, because wrapping up time is always really busy on BookTube. But I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!